Hey folks, it's Nick Granville. So we're on day 3 of Guitar Daily, and I thought today what we'd look at is chord tones, soloing using chord tones, and this is a topic that a few people asked for, and so hopefully I can cover that today. This is not going to be a fully in-depth thing, but hopefully just give you a bit of a primer on how I kind of look at it. So, what does it mean to solo using chord tones? Well, the chord tones are the root note, the third, the fifth, and the seventh of some variety for each chord. In that case, I was using blues, right? I was using a 12-bar blues, B flat because that's kind of the most common key in jazz. But you know, learn it in every key. But I'll use that as an example, right? Because come from a jazz background. Anyway, so first up, if we look at a B flat dominant 7 chord. B flat 7, first chord, this thing, right? We have B flat, D, F, and A flat. Those are the notes of the chords if I play them as an arpeggio, or arpeggio as Americans say. Right, and if I play that up an octave, I have this. If I'm going quickly over this, rewind it, slow it down. You can slow down on YouTube, anything like that you want to do to check it out. It's all there, right? But anyway. B flat 7 arpeggio. That information is all on the internet too. If you want to find out B flat 7 arpeggios, look it up. Cool. Or hit me up and I'll do it in a future video. Now next chord is an E flat 7. So I got E flat, G, B flat, D flat, essentially, and then same thing up an octave. Spells out that chord. Now, if I want to use that as a soloing device, the most powerful note is always going to be the third, right? It's the one that kind of defines it major or minor or whatever. So if I look at this note here, I go to my third here, right? Well, that's useful, right? But it's even better if you play it up an octave, right? So you could look at that as being a 10th interval. It's one way of looking at it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 8, 9, 10. Right. So your next chord, essentially a 10th interval. And then I went 2, 5, 1 in the changes, so it could be C minor with its minor third, and then right. Could do it up an octave here as well. All good. Right, so if I play a lick and I end on that note, is a really powerful thing. Or I could alternatively start on that note, but ending on it is the better one, because it's the ending of phrases that make whatever happens beforehand, as long as you resolve it, it makes sense, right? It's what happens beforehand is not as important as the resolution. Don't get me wrong, it's still important. Right, and that lands on that note. I could go. Right, which is a whole lot of bullshit, to be honest. But I just played whatever. It's just a whole lot of rubbish notes. But you get the idea, right? I can play those, and I can play in a way that sounds like I'm playing chord tones. So the third is a really good one to hit, right? So is the flat and 7th. So those are really my 2 notes. When I go to my next chord in the blues, it's those 2 notes, 3rd and flat 7, and then back. And I actually do picture those shapes in my mind when I'm playing. Like, I want to know how those shapes look. Like, I'm looking for them. I know some people say you shouldn't use shapes. Why not? Whatever gets you to playing the music. Do whatever works. Piano players look at shapes too, you know. And a good exercise you can do is just change running. And I've done a lot of work on change running. Basically what it is I'm just going to play the arpeggios for each chord. Right, as your first chord. So I have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that covers a whole bar, right? And then the next chord would be an E flat 7. And the shape looks exactly the same. I just move it up to E flat and then back to B flat. And then I move up to E flat again. To B flat. So I had a little bit of a different turnaround there, so that's kind of why I did that. But the turnaround could be whichever one you have in the particular song, right? So that's a really useful thing to do. Right, and that's your 12-bar blues. Of course, do that up an octave. Up an octave is probably more useful. Would be your first shape, then. Or you could go. Just probably better. So on and so on, right? Another position. And I want to do these all over the neck, with the idea being that now I can start to see where those chord tones are, right? And then when I'm soloing, I use them as target points to try and hit to. As I said, especially when I'm trying to resolve a phrase, right? A resolve to the chord tones. Now, that, once you do that through a bunch of tunes, you sort of start to get to see them. So take a tune like Starlight by Starlight. Those aren't actually my favourite changes in that song, but they're the ones that everyone knows. But anyway, so take that and play the arpeggios for it. Do it up an octave, of course. And once you've done it through a bunch of them, you start to be able to see these chord tones, right? And you'll be able to see them and use them as target points. And that's really the key thing, that you can target them at the moment that you want. Think of it like a filing cabinet. If you just have all this stuff that you throw in a filing cabinet, well, it's pretty hard to find what you want when you want it. Whereas, if you have it all organised in there neatly, you can go, oh, I want that piece of paper at this particular moment, right? That's what I want with this information. I want it to be able to draw on it when I particularly need it, which could be at any point in the music, right? Next step, right? So once you've got that kind of happening, the next step for those more advanced players might be to try and look at where, say, we know where the root, the third, the fifth and the flat seventh are on the dominant chord. The ninth is also a really powerful note. And using those as notes to kind of lean on a little bit, if you will. Anyway, I hope that's been useful for you today. My name's Nick Granville. I'm going to be doing these videos every day. It's become a new thing, Guitar Daily. Just be like this, quick little lessons, music stuff. I've got a list of stuff that people have given me, but leave them in the comments below if you've got anything you want me to cover. And I'm appreciating everybody's feedback, saying that you're enjoying this stuff. That goes a long way, because, sometimes I put this stuff out there and you never know if people are, well, you see the numbers, but you kind of go, are people enjoying this? Is this something they're into? But yeah, so thank you for the feedback, people. I really appreciate it. I hope everybody's well. Stay safe, and I will see you tomorrow. Thanks very much.